Welcome. My name is Chris Shanley. I'm a member of the Ohio Museum Association Board and chair of the Professional Development Committee. Welcome to Challenges and Benefits of Audiovisual Digitization with Gary Stennett and Lori Alvarez from ARS Video, Inc. I'll hand it over to them.
Thanks, Chris. Hi. Lauren and I are ARS Video as well as Digitize Archives. It's a new division we've started to specifically deal with museums, historical societies. We've been in business for 38 years. Family business, 1987. Gloria, my mother, started it. She and my dad had a business and she was looking for something else to do, so she thought this would be a nice thing. And it still is a nice thing. We do a lot of consumers, but through the years we started developing museums, historical societies, so we started Digitize Archives. This is my father, myself, and my son is now taking over. So we're truly a 3-generation company, and we're not huge, 10 employees, but we keep very busy. We've automated a lot of things so we can get a lot of processed. Okay, let's go into our formats. Film. I assume everybody's here because they're doing some sort of digitization or curious or need to. And I know a lot of people are doing some of it on their own. So I'd love to speak to how you're doing it, what your challenges are, what we can do to bring to the table, or just give you techniques, tips to how to do it better. So I'm a very hands-on person. So 8mm, Super 8, silent, magnetic audio, optical audio. So we do all this. Here's an example of a 16mm optical audio. We overscan, so we scan frame by frame. So we're creating high quality AVI or MOV files. We're scanning at 2K right now. So that would be this scan. We then use software to bring the audio out. If it's magnetic, we'll run it through a second machine to pick up the magnetic audio. So these can either be saved as TIFFs or JPEG files. Individual, frame by frame, as many as you have. We then assemble those, color correct them, crop them, and make user access MP4 files. Those can be uploaded to the cloud or wherever however you distribute your, make them useful to other people. The originals are meant to be for the editor, for the documentarian, so you can provide that high level. It's recorded a little bit dark so they can color correct it themselves and do what they need for the documentary. Yeah, a really big job we did was for an Air Force base, U.S. Air Force. It's an NDA, so I can't say what it was, but it was very interesting. It was a bunch of 16mm film reels, and they wanted it saved everywhere possible. They wanted TIFFs, they wanted the highest quality AVIs, uncompressed, which are huge files, and then the user access MP4. They also want it saved on disks, so we gave them gold archival disks and pro hard drives. They can't just plug any hard drive into their computer systems. I think that's why they wanted the disks as well. But it was stacks of disks. And you can't, and the cases were all archival level cases, no printing on the disk, no labels on the disk, nothing that would compromise them long term. So we normally keep a backup copy unless there's an NDA, then of course we don't. But everything else we do try to keep a copy of everything because we're your off-site disaster recovery. And I've recovered for, somebody got ransomware once. And I was be able to rebuild their library. So there's things we do that come along with how we do this. We've just been doing it a long time, so we kind of know what to do. All right, videotapes. I don't do D1, D2, which would be going back to the 60s, 70s. We pick it up at Humatic in the 70s, Betacam, SPSX Digicam, DVC Pro, DVCam. Those would be the Pro formats, all consumer formats, from Betamax and VHS to the minis, digital. We're running them through a system that we developed that is actually using equipment to upscale them to 1080p. We're putting pillars on the side. We're making them so they are true 1080p, and they would look exactly like your VHS does, except they're in high def. So somebody, true archivist, once asked me, can you make them 480i interlaced? And I was like, no, I can't. I can't even go back to that terrible, terrible format the VHS was. It's come so far that there's no reason to go back. And we're saving them as they're H.264 HD and 30 or 60 frames per second. We can do them as MP4s or MOVs, but it doesn't matter. They're still H.264. I don't do ProRes at this time. I looked into it, looked hard at it. But the requirements for storage were just so incredible. I mean, I'm doing 5 terabyte a month on MP4. It's 7 gigs per hour. And so we do, just thousands of hours every month. So there's no way I could do a ProRes resolution. And I've only had a couple of requests. Time Life Productions requested, they were doing a documentary. We worked with the universities and they had a collection they wanted us to digitize for their production. So they wanted ProRes, but I said, let me just show you what we can do. And they said, yeah, fine, no problem. It was plenty for what they needed. Photos, negative slides. Yeah. Do we remember these?
I have a box of them somewhere.
We have a special jig to the camera to set up. So yeah, but they're super small, and you can scan them at the highest possible, and you're still only going to get a small print. But we've done. Summit Metro Parks had 80 years of slides, 70 years worth of slides from professionals in the parks. They would go out and take pictures and then donate their professional slides to the Park Service. And they had a 100-year anniversary. They wanted to digitize all their slides and make them available to the general public as JPEGs online. But the marketing department wanted them as TIFFs, scanned it out. 48-bit, I think. We did 48-bit, which became, each slide was 170 megabytes, which is a very large image. They want to be able to print posters, basically. So, and we worked with them to review the process, see if it would work, and we had to charge a little more because it takes a long time to scan something at that level, but we were able to, and they were happy with everything that happened. If you want to see their slides, go online, summitmetroparks.org. So. Or gov. But yeah, we'll get estates will come in where the parents have passed and all the siblings want a copy of everything that the parents had. And the only way to give every child a copy is to digitize everything. So bins of pictures, photo albums, negatives, slides, yeah, all of it. Yeah, so. Audio. Audio is, we do the micro and the standard cassettes. Church started back in the 70s or 80s doing audio cassettes, then went to VHS tapes and DVDs, over 5,000 sermons from one church. And they wanted them all preserved, which is a great idea. So I'm not sure if they're, yeah, we're still doing them, yeah. We're up to DVDs. So. Reel-to-reel audio, a lot of the same issues that I have with videotapes. We'll get into the issues here shortly. The equipment is very difficult to keep running. Find people that can work on the equipment. I can buy used equipment, but it doesn't work. I've got plenty of parts machines, but not a lot of machines that are high quality. Well, they're high quality because we keep them maintained. I've got one guy still working on them. So that's always a challenge. And then vinyl, of course, but vinyl's back in style, so vinyl's not a problem for equipment. We provide WAV files and MP3s. So the WAVs being at the higher quality for future editing or whatever, and then just the MP3s to make it easy for people to download or have access to. So, deterioration. This is where we're getting into, well, as you know, the age of things is getting to the point where we're getting to see sticky tape on videotapes. Sticky tapes are basically it's binding to itself from just sitting there for so many years. And it could be in high humidity, it could be in a basement, garage, attic, even in your storage facilities. Even with constant humidity. I've got them out of archives and they've got mold on them. And once the mold is in there, it's not going away. With sticky tapes, I can bake the tapes, which is basically a dehumidifier, where you take it out of the case, you give as much exposure to the air as possible, put it in for 120 degrees for 8 to 10 hours, and then put it back into a case, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you hand wind it, which means power screwdriver, hold it in place, wind it through, wind it back, put it in the case again, see if it'll play, and keep doing that until you get it to play. There's also, well, I'll get into mold in a little bit. Tape shed is a whole different animal. That's where the magnetic bonded material is on a plastic, clear plastic tape, and it physically falls off. You go to play it, and it's not working. You look inside your machine, and there's a pile of black dust, essentially. It's just, yeah, there you go. It just falls off. Yeah. Then it just, from age, it's just, humidity and, yeah. Right, it's not even, that one's not even moldy. It just fell apart. Some tapes, I'm finding certain manufacturers like Scotch Kodak, about a bunch of different people made tapes. Some were worse than others, just cheaper materials. Even the spindles that they're on some are cheaper, so I'll use certain brands to get a better playback. There's a whole, I could spend a day talking about VHS tapes, so I get my hands dirty. Audio's similar, sticky tape, tape shed. Splices are really bad in those old audio, reel-to-reel. Film, yes. With film, you'll get the shrinkage, yeah, like this. Vinegar syndrome, of course, we're all familiar with that. That's just a physical way to know that it's breaking down. The emulsion, if it starts to flake off, there's not much we can do. If it's cracked or just brittle, we still have conditioners that we can put onto them. We have ways to straighten the film with heat if it's really curved. It takes a lot of time, and it depends on how bad the emulsion is, but we've saved it from the 1920s, I want to say. There was a 35 millimeter, this was actually interesting. Holmes County used to have an opera house. And the opera house had a projector for 35 millimeter film. Do you have that? And it was in a cigar box, a bunch of little reels. It was somebody's attic for a long, long, long time. And they never knew what was on them, so they were really curious. More than anything, I wanted to just know what was on them because they'd been stored for so long. So I think it was the Historical Society brought them into us and asked if we could do them. And we can do 35 millimeter. They were nitrate. Okay. But they ended up being short commercials that they would show at the movie house, at the opera house. And it had to be a huge novelty because some of them were stop motion, stop frame animation. So you would see it was a moving company, and they would show like a box, a trunk moving up the stairs and going in, and say dial 54 to speak to this moving company. It's a 2-digit phone number. So just really interesting stuff, and yeah, commercials, of course. So let's see. Old splices again, vinegar syndrome. We can't do anything to stop vinegar syndrome. All we can do is store it properly or freeze it, and then, of course, digitize it. Okay. Photos and slides. Faded colors, easy fix with today's software. So it's just, capturing before they fade anymore. Flaking emulsion. Again, you can't do anything, and cracks. Again, there's some conditioners that will help. It's like a wet gate. I don't know if you know what a wet gate is when you run film. So it just kind of takes out some of this cracking. You can also fix it with Photoshop if you have the time and patience. Yeah, so. Okay, we'll call this incurred damage. This is not just from getting old, this is basically from the way it's been stored. The mold. The mold is really common. All white. You look at yeah,
What it looks like, right?
all white. So luckily it's on the outside, not in the film itself or the videotape itself. Same with this. So to clean it, I'm using isopropyl alcohol, PEC pad, a little cloth, and I'm getting it down in between the case and just into the mold, and I'm just kind of cleaning through to get the loose stuff off. Because as I'm working with it, I'm wearing a mask, I'm wearing glasses, I still don't want those spores everywhere. So I'm taking it out of that case, cleaning the case down, or just throwing it out and getting a new case. Film the same way. We have a hand crank, so we're cleaning it, off the reel, back onto the reel, cleaning the reel in between, or putting it into a new reel. So audio reel-to-reel would be the same. Slides and film get a fungus that actually gets into the emulsion and starts to eat the emulsion. It'll look like snowflakes. And you can't go back from that. You could, again, fix it in Photoshop if you had the time and energy, but it's just eating the fungus, and you can't stop it. You can't fix it. You can stop it by freezing it. Broken cases, reels. Yeah, we have. The puppy ate the videotape. So that was a mini DV. So he chewed it up pretty good. So I took it off, took it out, put it on these new spindles, put it in a new case, worked fine. So these things can all be fixed. They're just, as long as the tape, I can splice the tape also and get the tape back. DVD scratches, if they're not too deep, they can be buffed out. We have multiple buffers. You can do it a couple times. If it doesn't work after that, then you're in more trouble. Some DVDs just kind of stop working, and we're not really sure why. It's probably what they were recorded on, but then you go to play them on another player and they just don't work. Sometimes they have to be played in the same manufacturer's player that they were created on. So let's say a JVC DVD was created. Maybe it wasn't finalized. It won't play on another player. It has to be put into a JVC. Sometimes it won't play on anything. There's software that'll go in and pull that. It'll rip that video out of there still. You can still go back in and find it. Same with like an SD card. Well, it's different, but it's just being marked as space available for reuse. If you delete images on your SD card, it's not really gone until you record something over it. It's still there, so with software you can go back in and find everything was deleted. Heat damage. Once it's done, it's done. You can't go back from heat damage. Kind of the same as fungus and emulsion. Okay, some of the benefits, which you guys know better than I do. You're preserving for media long after the original format has decayed beyond use. In videotapes, it's happening. I mean, we get them in by the hundreds, thousands every month. And I'm constantly fixing them. And it's becoming more and more of a fixing situation, which becomes more costly as well. So, access, ease of allowing people to use it, just, for professionals, being able to use them for productions, for families being able to see their grandparents, their parents. We do a lot of consumer, so we get people that start crying when they see their grandparents, on the video walking around. Safety, legacy media formats can be kept in safe storage, so you don't have to replay them all the time. Keep using the originals. You can just use a digital and keep the originals safe. Security, redundancy, duplication, have it in multiple places, 3 places for long-term storage, 1 off-site. So, and that's what we help do also. Resolutions, HD, 2K, 4K, 8K. I'm not getting the call for 4K yet. I don't know if you guys are thinking about it or looking at it. We're capturing 2K, access in HD. As TV screens get bigger, that's why we'd be looking at this, as I'm sure a 4K screen. But my 2K on this or my HD on this would look just like, it would look great. It's really for the professionals that are going to be making a documentary or something they're going to put on TV or whatever for the 4K and 8K. So there's use, but I'm not seeing it. It's not, I guess, maybe if we were in Hollywood doing it, but not here yet. So,
I think, especially for us at least, we have a lot of, media, which you saw when you visited.
Yeah.
I think that 4K takes up so much room, and like the only video camera that we had available to us at the time
Right.
only shoots in 4K. So
Right.
every month I'm like, hey, server guy, can you add another drive? So we're sucking up the space on the server, quite quickly.
Right.
So I don't know, but for us, 2K sounds great.
agreed. The same with the ProRes situation or uncompressed AVI files. You're going to find ours 40 gigabytes as opposed to an MP4 that's 7 gigabytes. So why do you want the 40 gig? If you know you're doing a production, yes, you do. But if it's just to preserve so people can see it, yeah. The
There's no
trade-offs.
diminishing return.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If we had unlimited budgets and storage space, and then it would be no problem whatsoever. I guess that's metadata. Again, how do you fill out the information about all that's known about that piece that you're archiving? And we keep asking the question to you guys as our customers, what do you want to see in there? Can we do it, or do you need to do it? What's the provenance? We can fill out what's on the picture just like anybody can, and that we transferred it on this date to this format. But to make it searchable, usable down the road, 50 years from now, if somebody searches, John Smith from Ashland, Ohio, is it going to pop up? It would pop up. I mean, if that's in the metadata, most likely they're going to find that person. And that's kind of what we want to think through. When you get to video, it gets a lot more complicated too. There's a lot of information. Yes? Let's see. Kind of a conclusion. Look at your collections, go back, and especially those videotapes that are 40 years old. VHS came out in the early 80s, Betamax. Film holds up better than videotape. So see if they still play, see if you need to prioritize those, if they are that age and how they were stored. Evaluate it, get the priority on what needs to be done. If you smell the vinegar syndrome, you know it's going. So you're going to need to do that. If you see mold in there, it's not going to get any better. Start with some and then, start scaling up. We're looking at a football film collection from a high school football coach from the 50s to the 80s. Football games that's on 16 millimeter. So 2 canisters, first half, second half, 270 film reels. And they were stored poorly, but we can salvage them. They're vinegary, they're not great, but we can save them all and we can get them all back. We're going to do one big game from the 80s that they can take to the booster club, put online, and start fundraising. There's a lot of people in the community that want to see that stuff. A lot of alumni that want to go back and relive their high school glory days that their grandkids have heard about for years. So there's ways to get, and we can help with grants too. We can give you numbers. We can come visit see your collection, give you an idea of what it's going to take so that you can put numbers to your grant. So.
SAA.
As far as what?
The grant.
Oh,
SAA.
we're members of SAA, Society of American Archivists, so we get fed grants that are available. Sometimes they're smaller ones, but perfect for a historical society or small museum. And we try to get those out to the people that we have contact with, so just to get the word out. It's a win-win. You guys get a grant, we get some work, so yeah. So.
You said sponsor, or you said, people want to relive their glory days.
Yeah.
I'm always so very shocked at, when we put in our newsletter, like, hey, would you like to sponsor a box? And how many people will find the thing that they're passionate about if you give them enough, specific options. Here's a box of Civil War letters. Well, there are many people who want to preserve that history. Film would be a great way to sponsor that film,
Right.
the game that you
Right.
scored, the whatever.
Yeah.
That would be a great way to get your people involved, but also to bring in those dollars, because it's costly, but it's important, and so.
Right. We've seen a lot of consumer videos of a parade in downtown Massillon back in the 60s. You guys would probably love to see that.
Yeah.
But now it's in somebody's home and they have it, but should they be offering you a digital version of it? Should we get them in contact with you? There's some things like that maybe we should be doing more with our customers when we see things.
Yeah, is that the kind of thing where they could donate that original to us? We pay for digitizing and then give them the digitized copy, or
We do that with some university archives right now,
It's the
where
other way around.
they've already paid us to digitize it, so we're just saying to them, hey, Massillon would be interested in having the digital version of this. So,
if you need
Yeah.
my cards.
yeah, right.
Pass them along.
Yeah, because there's a lot of really good stuff out there. I mean, most of it's birthdays and Christmases, but there's some, we've run across some unique stuff. Thank you. Thanks.